Hello, thanks for joining us on Engendered, the program selected especially for the women folk. Yes, this is a show for the girls and, of course, those who grow to become women, no matter your age. We have something to talk about all for you. And yes, when we have the time, we bring in the men when we have issues that connect us as a people. Today's show promises to be interesting and engaging. You do not want to miss any moment of the show today because it is a very, very important topic that we're taking a look at today. Now, let me let you understand. Today on the show, we're taking a look at parental influence and pressure, analysis of barriers and struggles of young women in the legal profession. Now, I did a little bit of research. Let me carry you along. Now, a career decision or a career choice is a very, very important milestone in the life of an individual. Now, career selection is one of the very challenging decisions of life, which not only decides the future, but also defines one's personal and professional growth. That is what career choice or decision does for you. Now, in the mix of making a career choice, growing up from a young child to adolescent age, parental perception or influence plays a vital role in the life of a child or children, including their academic, professional, and personal lives. The importance of parental influence upon their children's career choice is well established even across gender and racial lines. Now, there are effects to these decisions made by parents, which can be positive or negative. Our focus today is the negative effect of parental influence and pressure on the career choice or decisions of our children, especially the female child. Now, the effect comes with stress, anxiety, and frustration, negative psychological and emotional outcomes, impact on independence and career happiness, academic success and coping mechanisms, as well as gender differences in parental pressure. Now, this I can go on the effect of parental pressure influence on the girl child when it comes to choosing a career. My name, yes, indeed, still remains Anire Benite. When we return, I shall be introducing my guest on the show, a known face. She's become my friend, and anytime I call her, no matter what she's doing, despite a tight schedule, she always finds time to run down and support us as a station to dissect topics. And fortunately, this particular topic today falls under our purview. Is something that is part of her life. It has become her lifestyle. So who else to call than my friend? We'll take that break, and when we return, the conversation will begin. Stay with us. Yes, welcome back. If you just joined us, it is Agendered, and today we're taking a look at a very, very vital, very important topic, one that is not spoken about as often as it should. And on today's show, like I said before the break, we're taking a look at parental influence and pressure. One follows the other. Of course, analysis of barriers and struggles of young women in the legal profession. I'm particularly picking out that. Probably we'll do a series on other professions, but for today, we're taking a look at the legal profession. And my guest today is Uchenna Obidike. She is a legal practitioner. we love to call her Barrister.
Thank you so much, Anne. Thank you for having
It's so
me,
nice
Anne.
to have you on Engendered today. I also want to appreciate you, despite your tight schedule, for coming on the show today. So we have a lot to talk about. Very important, because personally, I had that influence from my mom, growing up. My mom wanted me to be a nurse. That's the only thing. When I put on my gown, my dress, I'm looking smart. As a little girl from 6, my mom would tell me, I want you to be a nurse. But in my head, I already knew. Look, let me tell you the story of my life. As young as 2, 3, the very first time I looked at the TV box, all I wanted to do was to be inside that
TV
box. And the only thing in my head is how to get there. And I know a nurse can get inside a box. That means I have to be at the hospital to do that. So anytime she tells me that, I just smile. But when I got to age, we will argue about it. Then my father wanted me to become an engineer, coming from the Niger Delta area, Shell, Ajib. He wanted me to be a petroleum engineer and enjoy the benefits of where we come from. So we had that conflict growing up. Now, career choices, like I said when we started, is a very important milestone in the life of an individual. Before we delve deeper, let us understand from your viewpoint how important career choices are.
Career choices are very important because they shape your life. They determine the path you're going to toe in your life. So they are very important. But, in Africa, it's very sad that, when we talk about career choices with respect to women, daughters, parental influence plays a very big role in that. I don't want to delve into law yet, but I'm just going to talk about career choices because, as you
we'll gradually go there.
Because as you said, our parents play a vital role in our career choices. When I was growing up, I wanted to just study English language. And my parents said, no, you must be a lawyer. And that was my dad said, I'm not going to pay school fees for anybody unless you want to be a lawyer. And my dad dictated, you'll be a lawyer, yourself be a doctor. And, but what ironically, he didn't do that for my brothers, So it was
that's the gender part of it, which we're going to discuss later, which is very vital to our discussion.
Yes. So he didn't do that for my brothers. They went on, they chose the courses or the careers they wanted to, embark on. But we had our courses picked for us
as female children.
So that is what you see every day, and that it still happens now. It's still happening. I have a lot of people who came around then and told my mom, she's studying law? No. Many men don't like marrying lawyers. And all
halfway into the decision being followed.
So that is it. So that's the kind of, you have parental influence and you also have societal influence. So that is what we see daily as lawyers. We have that influence everywhere. As a girl child, as a woman, you almost have everybody making choices, choosing things for you. You hardly have the opportunity or allow the chance to choose what you want to do in your life. People keep dictating and keep following. So it takes a lot of strength as a woman for you to be able to say, stand on your ground and say, this is what I want to do. And I hope the younger women would do that part, yes.
Now, we talked about how important career choice and selection is. For me, while I was doing this research, it was like an eye-opener. Some things I thought I knew, I didn't know as much. Then I got to find out more things, concerning this particular challenge in society, that there's a difference between career choice and career selection. The choice I discovered, is something you play with in your head. As someone growing up, you have your peers, you discuss it. I'm going to be a doctor, I'm going to be a lawyer. Someone will say, I'm going to be a housewife. And say, that's exactly what I want to do. I don't want to pursue. any career. My elder sister had a friend they went to school with, and she said all the while they were growing up, she just said, once I finish secondary school, I want to get married. She said it from the early stage, from primary school, and voila. When she finished secondary school, she had a man come and marry her.
Yes.
And she's never pursued any career. She just want to have babies, and that is what she has done all her life. Let us now begin to break down, because there's a need for us to talk about parental perception or influence, which plays a vital role in the life of children. Now, we'll get to find out that it's not just one-sided, from the academic to the professional, and of course their personal life. Parents always want to make decisions for their children, and unfortunately, we've discovered that there are gender issues concerning such decisions. Like you've rightly pointed out, the boys were left to make their own choices, while their choices were decided for them. And sometimes it runs across to even marital decisions.
Yes.
You bring a man and your parents will tell you, it's too short, it's too tall, it's too light, it's too dark, it's not from here, it's not from there. Well, what did he read again? A teacher? No, we want you to get married to a doctor. And those decisions just go on, and it becomes something else, to the child. Let us now talk why do you think parents, feel they need to decide the career path for their children? Is it because they want them to follow their own footstep, or it is something else?
Of course, every parent wants their child or their children to prosper. That is it. And based on their experiences, they always believe they are making the better choices for their children. But the mischief in this is that most times, they often ignore the traits, the career traits, because there are people who are very artistic. I have a brother who is very artistic. He can paint, but at that point, my parents did not see that trait in him as worth pursuing. Maybe if he had pursued art, he would have excelled in that. But Nigeria, you know how Nigerian parents are, the whole talk about professional courses. You should be a doctor, you should be an architect, you should be a lawyer. I understand, because of the economic realities we face in Nigeria, everybody wants to protect their child, everybody wants their child to excel, and it's construed that, most professionals are always successful, because of how Nigeria is. You don't blame our parents, but there's a danger in that, because when a child, you talk about career choice, some children already know what they want to be. They already know where they are going to excel in. But we have parents choosing what they expect you to do. But if you don't have a passion for a particular career, you're going to pursue it. But how far you go will be determined by your zeal and passion. We have a lot of people who studied medicine, but who are not practicing. And when you ask them, they'll tell you, it's my father that wanted me to study medicine. I have a friend who studied medicine in Ukraine, but he's now in Nigeria and he's into real estate. He has never practiced. And I'm sure if you ask him, he'll tell you, oh, my parents did this, my parents wanted that. So we all find parents making this mistake. We don't blame them. They want the best for their children. It takes a lot to be a successful person. And our parents want us to start from the scratch, to start taking steps, which will lead us towards success. But it's also very important that you also consider your child's choices, self-choices, what this child wants, not just what you want. You don't push somebody to study law when the person may not be very articulate, or maybe when the person may not even have any interest in law. A lot of people feel that law is, for you to be a lawyer, you have to be argumentative. But there are different aspects of law. There's legal drafting. Does this child write well? Because for you to draft, you have to know how to write well. Then, of course, there's the courtroom where you have people arguing the law. But now it's a lot of all these things are even soft-landed. They are not as serious as before, because we have what we call front-loading processes, where you just send in documents, the other person responds. So there are very little arguments in courts nowadays. So you have to check all those things before you push people to do this, do that, do that. There are very people that are very careless. When you have a careless child or a very restless child, from the beginning you know it. The child is very restless. He's here, and you push the person to go and study medicine. Somebody who cannot even sit in one place for 10 minutes, and you expect that person to go and conduct operations that last hours.
And forget tissue, hospital, knife, everything.
So you have to think about all consider all those things. Yes.
Now my next line of question is this, because it's important for us to get it right. I really appreciate your line of thoughts in just dropping the right points at the right places. Let parents understand how important it is for them to study their children and the passion that drives them.
Yes.
Which will help channel the child towards achieving success in life.
Yes.
When, like, I have a niece who, I think she was born with crayon in her hands. She was a creative child, a little girl who can get into your phone. She can bypass your what's it called?
Password.
Your password.
Yes.
It's just a gift.
Very tech savvy, yes.
Yeah, she can draw. Anything gets spoiled in the house, she's called to, before you say Jack Robinson or Robertson or whatever, before you say get the technician or get the electrician, she's up there, she's repairing everything. And she's asked, the desire for my sister was for her, because she was so intelligent in both art and sciences, to go read a science course. And she says, you know what, I want to do creative art. My brain is like this. She'll tell you, my brain, I think and think. And she's so intelligent. So it was like, look, if you want to be a carpenter, be a carpenter. Anything you want to do, this child must be allowed to express herself.
Yes.
And today she's doing creative art. She's in Uniben.
That's fine.
Doing creative arts. How important is it for parents to study their children and know what you're proficient in and know what their passion is and allow them pursue that path? How important is it?
In fact, it is very fundamental.
What are the benefits that will come out of that on the long run?
Because when a child has passion for a particular career, you always see the outcome, which is always success. If you have passion for, let me say, law now, you live for law, you practice law, you want to practice law, you want to succeed in that. That is the good thing. It begets success, because if you want to do something and you have passion for doing that, you do it well. But if you say, okay, study medicine, and you're just there, you've studied medicine, it also affects your success in the grades, because a lot of people study medicine, but it takes them a lot of years before they graduate from medicine or from school. Not because they are not intelligent, but maybe because they're just forced into that career. There is this perception that most lawyers are not very good in arithmetic and mathematics. Well, it's arguable, but I know that medicine is all about sciences. You have to do very well in sciences and all that. But I know some people in school who are not very good in sciences, but whose parents somehow pushed them to study science courses. So when those children find themselves in that kind of situation, you see them, they're having carryovers in school, they are not doing well. Even when they eventually manage to graduate, you see that the psychological trauma of that kind of
lasting.
Yes, it hinders their growth, because when you've spent 4 or 5 years, 6 years
instead of 4
years, so you just become very deterred about a lot of things. You see life differently. You're not as enthusiastic and anxious as you're supposed to be, and it also affects your career. So when you finally find yourself in a situation where you're supposed to pursue that career, you're just like, there's always this feeling of being left out, that you missed out on something. So it's very important, because in as much as our parents want their children to be happy, to prosper, they should also think about the children's well-being, mental well-being, the children's aspirations too, and career aspirations, because a child would always know what the child wants. Yes, it's good. Sometimes your parents would advise you, do this, do that, but let it be based on what they see in you, the traits they see in you, and not just based on what they want you to do. Yes.
Now talking about the effect, because on today's show, our focus is the negative effect of parental influence and pressure. That's exactly what we want to bring out today. Because, of course, we have instances. Take yourself, for example. You're a success in what you do.
Yes.
You were influenced by your parents.
Yes.
There are instances where parents, we're not saying parents should not have a say in the lives of your children.
Yes.
But you must know when or where to draw the line. When the child is insisting, I do not want to do this, you should be able, you should as a parent ask, what do you want to do? You should be able to ask that.
You should be supportive.
After studying that this is the path that the child is following. Now, talking about the effects, which is taken from what you've said, one of what I discovered was that parental pressure in the choice of career for children may lead to stress, anxiety, and frustration.
Yes.
Which you've already talked about.
Yes.
A course that is supposed to last for 4 years, you end up doing it for 6 years. Even when you read medicine, you did say that someone went all the way to Ukraine with all the money spent. The person is into real estate. There's an actress, I don't want to call her name, who actually read medicine. And she's one of the greatest actresses we have in Nigeria. The moment she came back, she gave a parent the certificate and went to Nollywood.
Yes.
And fortunately for her, she's doing very well in that field. Let us talk about the effect of stress, anxiety, and frustration, the effect on a child who eventually grows to an adult due to pressure, career choice pressure from parents, the effect on the child, and of course, the ripple effect on society.
Well, every child, even at that tender age, every child knows what they are good in. They know what they are passionate about. They know what interests they have. The parents may not see this. You know, we don't blame our parents. Sometimes it may just be because of work schedules. Even people who spend so much time with their children may not really know because some children may not be very bold to express themselves. I want to do this. But by choosing some courses or the career path they decide to do, you understand that, okay, this child has a passion for this. So when that parent now dictates what that child, they want that child, the career they want the child to pursue, it leads to stress. Because imagine somebody who is not very outspoken being forced to study mass communication. An introvert being forced. Because children know themselves right from the primary school stage. There are children who we know that, they're very good in arguments, debates, and they're the ones who are very good in sports. They're the ones who are not very outspoken, but are very good in writing. That is why you have screenwriters who are not in front of the camera, because they are very good in writing. They can write very good stories, but they may not be able to stand on the stage because of the fright or something, anxiety. This happens. But you also see parents who would disregard all these things and just push the child to do this. That's why I talked about medicine. You know, your child is not very stable. I'm not talking about mentally stable, but there are children who are just naturally restless. Like, they have so much energy. They like running around. It doesn't mean that there's something extrovert. They're very restless, and you tell the child, go and study medicine. Now, this child knows that. There are people who are not very, I don't want to use the word clumsy. There are people who are not very relaxed. You know, there are children who are always breaking things in the house, doing this, doing that, doing that. They are not very careful. People know their children. And the other children who are very careful, you know, they take time, they pay attention to details, they do all those things. Then you push that one who is always restless to go and study a course which requires so much precision, which requires so much patience, which requires so much focus. And you think you're doing something, you're helping that child, you're aiding that child, but that child is going to always be anxious, because the child knows. It's just like bringing out a fish out of water and put it on land, it will never fit there. The child will always know that, hey, I don't fit here. I'm not supposed to be here. Even when we are in school, at the university level, there are a lot of people who seemed misplaced. They were always aloof. You would hardly hear them speak. Yes, we are all aspiring to be lawyers. We are studying law in the university level. But there are a lot of people who couldn't, simple questions, they would not answer. It wasn't because they did not know the answers, but because they did not have what they call it. They had, I don't want to use the word stage fright, but they did not have the confidence. You also have to check the confidence level of your child. Is this child very confident? Because you don't want a child who you will waste. I don't want to use the word. No, you will spend a lot of money on the child's education.
And
then
at the end,
you don't get what you wanted to get. Yes.
Yeah, we've been told to take a break now. Yes, apart from that, we also have, like I reeled out during my intro. And fortunately for me, my guest has more or less touched on all the reasons, all the effects, which is a negative psychological and emotional outcomes, which can come from stress, anxiety, and frustration. She's talked about gender differences in parental pressure. She used herself as an example that in a house, the girls were picked out and their careers decided for them, while the boys were allowed to pick their choice. Academic success and coping mechanisms, which is part of what you've spoken about, and of course the impact on independence and career happiness, which is all wrapped up in the stress, anxiety, and frustration that she has spoken about. Now, we'll take a break, and when we return, we shall be taking a look at the barriers and struggles of young women in the legal profession. We are narrowing it down now to the legal profession, becoming a lawyer, which she is, and she's right here to help us understand that. We'll take that break, and when we return, the conversation continues. Stay with us. Yes, welcome back. It is still Agendered, where we're taking a look at a very important topic, parental influence and pressure analysis of barriers, struggles of young women in the legal profession. Let me take it again. Parental influence and pressure, analysis of barriers, struggles of young women in the legal profession. Before we went on the break, we were able to establish what a career is, career choices, career selection, and of course the influence of parents, the parental influence and pressure that comes with these influences. We're able to establish the gender aspect of it. We're able to actually establish the fact that the effects include stress, anxiety, and frustration, which can roll over to negative psychological and emotional outcomes, and a lot more. But for the profession today, we're taking a look at law, the legal profession for young women. Now, when parents influence the choice of career for their children, what they should read in school, become a doctor, become a lawyer, become a teacher, like my father did with my elder sister. Now, their consequences is either they love the individual loves the career path, or they don't, especially when they have passion for something different. Now, our focus is law. A lot of parents want their children to become lawyers. And in the case of my guest, she was told, you either read law or nobody will pay your school fees. So we want to take a look at the legal profession. But in as much as we'll talk about the success that comes with it, we're taking a look at the barriers and, of course, the challenges that come for young girls who want to go, who are in the process, who went through the process. We're taking a look at a broad spectrum of that aspect of legal profession. In the course of my research, I discovered that legal profession is based on expertise in the law and in its applications. I don't know anything about it, but I have someone here who is a lawyer, and that is my guest. Tell us about the legal profession, being based on expertise and, of course, in the law and its application. This is what you do. Take us into your world.
Yes, lawyers are always said to be learned people because it takes a very high level of education to be a lawyer. You know, you study a lot of laws, a lot of acts, a lot of ethics, a lot of laws, even foreign laws. You study them just to be a lawyer. You don't just stop at the university level. You also go to the law school to further hone your skills as a lawyer. That is where you have the practicability of the law, now the practice, because you have law, you have practice, and you have procedure. The other day I was having a discussion with somebody, and the person said, oh, we have AI now. AI is going to take a lot of jobs, including the jobs of lawyers. And I just laughed, and I responded, and I told the person, it's not possible, because law is not just all about writing, drafting. You also have practice, procedure, and application of the law. So lawyers are expected to have a very high level of knowledge. You don't know everything, but you know little about everything. You're expected when you cross-examine people in court, you cross-examine experts. You can cross-examine a doctor, an engineer, whatever field, whatever career. You're expected to have knowledge about that, not to be an expert, but to be able to understand and have knowledge of what the person is talking about. Many careers are just all about focused, self-focused, but in law you study about other things, because there are different areas of specialization in law. There's oil and gas law, that's energy law, there's maritime law, there's criminal law, there's civil law. So just imagine one person. You don't have to specialize in all of that, but you have to have knowledge of all of that. So that is why you are required to have a high level of expertise. Even your conduct as a lawyer is supposed to be different, because they call us, we are all gentlemen at the bar, whether you're a woman or a man. You're supposed to conduct yourself with very high level of professionalism as a lawyer. You're always supposed to be professional. So you're talking about career now. As a lawyer, you're also supposed to be, or expected to be patient, understanding, But there are a lot of people who are very impatient by naturally. You could even be genetically. A lot of people are impatient. A lot of people, and you're supposed to be well spoken as a lawyer. It's expected that at least when you speak, somebody says, okay, you're not expected to speak like somebody on TV, just like you, the way you speak, but at least you're supposed to be able to communicate in clear terms with other people. But we know that there are a lot of people who are introverted. They can communicate, but do they want to communicate with people? Do they have that zeal to communicate? So when you force people into doing what they don't want to do, that's why I was talking about screenwriters. People who can tell very good stories, who can write about stories, there are a lot of lawyers who are very good in legal drafting. But when you see them in court, you find out that they may not be very, very confident about speaking in court. While, as I said, there are different areas of specialization and aspects of law, but as a lawyer, you're expected to be well-grounded in all these aspects. That is law. And funny enough, in Nigeria, most people practice general law. You find very, very few people specializing in one area of law. That's why in Nigeria, when they ask you, what area of law do you specialize in? You just, general law, because even though you are just a lawyer, you could handle real estate issues, you could handle criminal law, civil issues, and all that. So yes, expected to be very professional and educated.
To become a
lawyer. Yes.
Interesting. But for this particular discussion, we're taking a look at the barriers and pressure for women in the legal profession, especially in Nigeria.
Yes.
So we've identified that parents have influence in career choices, which may lead to pressure. When a parent insists you have to do a particular, you have to toe a particular career path. You must be a lawyer, you must be a doctor, you must be this. But again, today our focus is law. Now, and again, our focus is for young girls who fall into your category where a parent insists you have to be a lawyer. We're taking a look at the barriers. And when I was doing my research, I came up with some discriminatory practices, gender blind rules, gender blind rules, structural gaps that deny women lawyers the resources they need to flourish, high concentration in lower level employment, lack of promotion, long hours and high stress levels, Young female attorneys are frequently the target of harassment from male judges or advocates. I can go on and on, but that is based on my own research, which I know may be different from yours. So I want us to begin to break the barriers. Fine, your parents have chosen the career path for you, and now you know that after secondary school, your JAMB exam is going to be towards English and government,
literature, yes,
religious studies,
yes,
which is the main courses if you want to read law.
Oh, yes, that's true.
So then you fill in the JAM forms, and if the results come, then you pass. It means you're starting your life as a law student.
Yes, that's true.
Then, from university to graduation is our focus. The barriers that young girls may face, towing the path of the legal profession. So, Uche, let us start from the university. As one who is a lawyer, what are some of the barriers that a young girl would face studying law before graduation?
Okay, law is supposed to be a tool of equality, but in Africa, ironically, you find many women, many young girls who aspire to study law, battling with inequality, not in court too, but right from their houses. We have to even start, before we even talk about the university, we have to start from what happens at the family unit. We have to start from the house. You have parents, there are two types of parents. You have parents, the ones who support their daughters, who invest heavily on their education. Okay, I want you to study law. Whether you're the one that even chose the course or whether they chose the course. Okay, you want to study law. Okay, let's invest in you. They invest in you, but they always set reminders telling you, okay, always remember, you're going to marry you. Always reminding you about marriage, expecting you to prioritize a marriage, homemaking, your domestic, all your domestic chores and your homemaking, the idea of homemaking marriage over your professional ambitions. So those parents, they'll train you. Like when you're in the university, remember if you see husband marry you, they'll remind you. When you're in the law school, like they'll start disturbing you. Oh, you have to marry. You have to marry. Have you met a suitor? They're not bothered about your professional ambitions or your career ambitions, what you aspire to do in your career. Because to them, they just want to hear, oh, she's a lawyer. You've been called to bar. My daughter is a lawyer. That's a bragging right now. She's a lawyer. But they expect you to marry, but they don't understand that you want to be more than just a lawyer. You want to be successful in that field. You want to be a known name, a household name. When you talk about lawyers, she's this person, she's this person. So those parents are the supportive ones. Then on the other hand, we have the parents who would insist, that is where you have the career choice bias, where the parents will insist, no, I'm going to choose this course for you. These ones feel that the girl child is immature or unable, immature
to make decisions.
Yes, or inexperienced to make career decisions. They choose these courses for you. While choosing these courses for you, then that is where you see the whole gender, or let me even use the word sexism now, because girls, they expect you to choose most African parents, sorry, I'm using most, or some African parents would always dictate or push their daughters to choose careers which they feel are agreeable or softer. Study nursing, study maybe an educational course where you end up being a teacher. That's agreeable. Not just to them, but to your prospective husband. A man will always want to marry a woman who they see has studied this course, while a lawyer would always be seen as
intimidating,
confrontational. When I was studying law, I told you, somebody told my mom, your daughter should not study this course because men will not marry her. They're always going to see her spin because lawyers are always assertive. So she warned my mom and told my mom, don't allow your daughter to study this course. So there are those parents who would always want to choose courses for you based on what they feel is better for you. So when they do all this, but the boys, I have to talk about the boys, the special treatment which the boys get. The girls are having their courses or their careers being chosen for them, but a boy just wake up and say, oh, I want to be a doctor, and the parent ignores all the, I'm going to use red flags, all the indicators against that.
No, that's not the right thing for you.
Oh, he's going to be a doctor. But the girl child has to keep facing this. Then when they get to the university, that's a different field too, because girls are always perceived to be soft, to not be as assertive as men. And so in a law class, when you are the assertive girl, you're always seen as being confrontational. You're always being seen as being aggressive. You may be as intelligent as you may want to be, but there will always be that special treatment accorded or afforded to a boy.
Now, we've been told that we need to take a break again.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, we'll continue on that line of thought. Please don't go anywhere because it's getting really interesting, yeah? So we take that break, and when we return, more for you. Stay with us. Yes, welcome back. If you just joined us, this is Engendered, where we're taking a look at a very important topic as we take a look at parental influence and pressure, of course, on the career choices of the female child. Before the break, my guest was actually letting us understand the barriers faced by the girl child or the female gender when they get to university. And she was saying when a girl is assertive, definitely problems come. So let us continue from where we stopped. So Uche, continue.
Okay, thank you so much. Then you also have the traditional expectations. You know, in Africa, a woman's success is determined by her marriage and her capacity to keep her family alive, and not even by her professional career. Nobody cares whether you are a lawyer, you're a judge, you're who or who. Everybody expects you to be married and to have a family and to be able to balance your work life and your family. Nobody cares. It's not the same for men, because they work. Women always have burnouts, because if you decide to be ambitious or pursue your career, you still have to come home to deal with your domestic issues, while the men just go to work and they come back. Then you also have the disparity or sexism in the workplace. Most people come to your law firm and they say, when you want to deal with them, they say, no, I don't want a female lawyer. That's a sexism. They will prefer a man. It also affects the salary scale, because people will comfortably pay men better than they pay women. When it comes to a woman, they give you peanuts. But when it comes to a man, they feel like, wow, a man is domineering. This is a man. That dominance, maybe they feel it has been, that is the gender issue we're talking about. And you see them, they treat the men differently. And we also have our parents. How many Nigerian parents or how many African parents will actually bring out so much money to invest in the career of their children? We have people, I've had colleagues whose parents even set up law firms, male colleagues whose parents set up law firms just to start them, to get them going. But a typical African parent would never do that for a female child, because they expect you to marry and continue with your marital life or your married life. Nobody cares about your career. So the traditional expectations are so deep, because they define everything. These are things that define everything the African woman does. You're a lawyer. What about your family? You're expected to be a lawyer, but you're not expected to keep late or have long working hours. There are days where you have meetings, very late meetings. It's understandable for a man to have that, to do that. But when it comes to a woman, you're neglecting your family life. You're not a good mother. So how do you balance being a good mother, a good daughter-in-law, a good employee, or a good career woman? It leads to burnout. It leads to burnout. That's what we face. Then you also have the issues of sexual harassment. Even as a lawyer and advocate of the law, you can be sexually harassed in your workplace. You are not above that. It happens. And it always happens where there is inequality in bargaining power. You know, this person is so much higher than you, is highly placed above you. You cannot complain. Nobody is going to listen to you. I don't want us to delve into that, about what happens to women when they are sexually harassed. So we keep facing all these issues. Clients don't take you seriously. I've met clients. You have to work
Extra.
Work hard, as very hard, harder than men, to be taken seriously. So if you see a woman, a career woman, who is standing out,
Especially a lawyer.
you know that she has done
Double.
worked so hard, harder than what men have worked. Because she has sacrificed a lot. In Nigeria, for you to be a very successful career woman, sometimes you may even have to sacrifice your family, because unless you have a very understanding husband,
it's going to be difficult.
It's going to be difficult.
And now let's talk about steps that could be taken to eliminate gender discrimination, because at the end of the day, right from class to graduation, the female child or a young lady is definitely going to face this struggles in the field, as it were. I did my research and I discovered that mentorship programs, flexible working hours, gender-neutral parental leave laws are like 3 basic things that can be done to help eliminate gender discrimination. In your own view, how do you think this can be avoided in the law practice or in the legal professional practice? Our focus again is for the young girl who wants to venture or who has ventured, who ventured and is still on the course of this path. In your opinion, as a lawyer who has experienced all of this, what can be taken? What steps can be taken to eliminate gender discrimination in the law practice or legal practice?
We need parental support. Our parents have to come out and support the girl child, especially the ones who aspire to be lawyers. If a girl says, I want to study law, you encourage the child, not dissuade her. Law is not a confrontational course. It's a career course which this lady or this girl can study and aspire to study and actually attain very, very high heights in her career. While marriage is important, it should not be seen as defining a woman. A woman should marry. A woman should aspire to marry, but the woman should also aspire to be successful in her career. Women should be encouraged, especially the husbands, to be able to manage career and their marriage or their family life. The men should be more understanding. Your wife is a lawyer, she's going to work late hours. It doesn't mean that she's neglecting her family life. This is what is going to help her to secure financial independence and even build her career. And we also need the support, the government and even private employers to support lawyers, being that, most lawyers go on maternity leave and before 1 month, they're expected to come back. So that lawyer now who just had a child, had a baby, would come back, start working, also trying to balance work life. We need support from all angles. And we also need educational awareness. We need people to leave the past behind. Those traditional practices that are repugnant to natural justice, equity, and good conscience should all be abandoned. You don't expect a girl child to just only marry, abandon her life and her ambition just because she married. That shouldn't happen. A girl should marry, then also pursue her career. Parents should understand. There should be awareness to the society that lawyers or law is a good profession and not just a cantankerous one where people, because it's almost like some female lawyers, it's just almost as if they are labeled cantankerous, and when men even want to marry them, we say, oh, this one is cantankerous, you shouldn't marry her. There should be that awareness and there should be that support. There should also be a lot of measures put in place against sexual harassment for women in their workplaces where they can, especially lawyers. It happens to lawyers. Because you are a lawyer does not mean that you are above sexual harassment in Nigeria. It can happen. A boss can sexually harass a lawyer, and you may not be able to do that. So we just need all forms of encouragement and support to our female lawyers.
Okay, so before we round up,
Yes.
I know this particular topic is going to catch a lot of attention.
Yes.
I know there are young girls watching. As a lawyer, before we go, I want you to say something, advise, mentor, because I discovered that mentorship is one of it for young lawyers, female lawyers, what would you say to young girls who aspire to become lawyers and those that are in the system right now?
Yes, I would advise them to be passionate about what they are doing. Be as passionate as possible about law if they're lawyers. It may seem bleak at this point, but there's always light at the end of the tunnel. Just because you're facing a lot of challenges because of your gender does not mean that you cannot transcend all those challenges. You're going to be fine at the end of the day if you keep pushing. The thing is that you don't have to stop. You have to keep making efforts to get to where you want to be. So that
For
is it.
those who are facing sexual discrimination, what advice do you have?
You always have channels to report. You have to speak out. Do not let people intimidate or shut you up after they've offended, after they've harassed you. You can always speak out. And when you speak out, you encourage other women to speak out.
For those who desire mentorship, what do you have to say?
You can help yourself, mentor yourself, read about people who align, who are successful in what you want to do. You can always read about people. If you want to go into tech, you read about Elon, you read about Bill Gates. If you want to practice law and be successful, we have Miriam Aloma Mukhtar, the first CJN of Nigeria. You read about her, what she passed through. You can also mentor yourself. You don't have to wait for people to mentor you. So you have to help yourself in your own way.
Okay, on those seeking gender-neutral parental leave laws, what do you have to tell them?
Well, let's push for those laws, in Nigeria. Just keep pushing for what you want or what you believe in. The government will always listen. It may take a while, it may take a long time, but the government will always listen. You can go to the legislators, your state legislators, always push for what you want. The government will always listen to you. It may not seem so, but the government always listens.
I want to thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's although they always tell us to go when the discussion is just getting really, really interesting. And this is all time will allow us on this special edition, or I call it special because of the topic we discussed today, which is parental influence and pressure, analysis of barriers, struggles of young women in the legal profession. And our guest today, Uchenna Obidike, she is a legal practitioner. Before I thank her once again, I just hope that you run with everything that you've heard and watched on the show today. Parents, take caution, and of course our young girls, take caution, and make sure you go on YouTube and watch this episode over and over again as a guide. Uche, I appreciate you for being on the show
It's always
once
a pleasure.
again, and I hope to see you again and again and again
Hopefully,
and again.
why not? Thank
All
you.
right, that's the show. My name remains Anire Benitier. Stay positive, stay good, and don't stop working. For me, is bye for now.